is called Delicate Dahlias. And this is one of those great ones that they call them distinctive stamps. So it's got a lot of detail in there. You also have the outline image, and these layer on top of each other, or you can use just this alone or this one alone. Same is true for the leaves and then the little flowers, and then you've got your words. So it is quite a nice one. So first thing I want to do is show you how it stamps out, and I'll use Coastal Cabana for this. And you will want to use a stamp mat underneath you for this, as you do generally with your photopolymer stamps, but particularly these large distinctive ones, you'll get the best result if you have this stamp mat underneath you. So when you look at the image, it doesn't actually look all that detailed because the detail is very, very fine, but when you stamp it out, you get, I think you can see that, you get a lot of lights and darks and depth to the image just by inking and stamping. It's really quite incredible and great technology. All right, so we've got soft succulent, rich raspberry, and evening evergreen. And actually I'm going to need that mat again. And I'm going to use my just a square of Whisper White just to show you what I'm doing. And what I want to show you is how it stamps out and some masking. So I'm just going to use a piece of copy paper. You could use Post-it notes. For this, I'm just going to use copy paper and put it about halfway, just so I'm stamping on the upper half of this square. And then I'll ink up the stamp. And then stamp that like that. Oh, I meant to put grid paper. Actually, I will. I'm going to put grid paper on my mat like that. Oops, I got ink there, so I guess I'll need to put a flower there as well, where I put ink. And then one up here like that. I think you can see that detail. It's quite gorgeous. The soft succulent and the evening evergreen, which are like the light and the dark of the same green. And what I'm going to do with this one, actually, before I do that, one thing I did yesterday was I stamped out the dahlia in just on a copy paper, or you could do it on a Post-it note, just some thin paper, and use that to cover your image. And you only need to cut out one, and then you can just keep it in your stamp case and then just keep using the same one over and over until it falls apart. So I'm just laying that dahlia on top of that existing one. And I'm going to ink it up in the soft succulent. Sorry, I'll put those where you can see those. And then I will use my sponge dauber and just dab on a little bit of that evening evergreen just to add a little depth to that, and then stamp that. And I think I'll do one more and then I'll show you what it looks like. And then of course what you would do is move this mask. Sorry, I'll pull that away so you can see what that looks like. And then you would just use this mask and move it from flower to flower as you're stamping your leaves. You may decide you need 2 masks, but I was able to do it with just one. And then let me show you the finished project. So my finished one looks like this. So even if that line isn't quite straight or it's not completely perfect, you can just cover it with your ribbon. And then I just added some splattering and a little bit of inking with some crumb cake in there. And I thought it made a nice sympathy card with that one. So I hope you like that. And then this is another sample using that same technique and that same large stamp. This time I've done it all in gray granite, and then the only color is actually on the leaves, and did lots of masking. And I used the small flower and made a little mask with the small flower too, and then added the leaves in there like that. And then I embossed over the whole thing with that timeless text, or time-worn type is what it's called. I always love projects that just focus or feature a lot of gray granite. I think gray granite is such a sophisticated color. It's kind of in between gray and brown, and it's just so nice. Okay, so my next idea, I just need to grab my grid paper again, is I wanted to do a project that used the outline stamps as well. But what I'm going to do is stamp the large dahlia, the same one I just stamped in Flirty Flamingo. I might just do a portion of this. Actually, I will. I'll just do a little bit up at the top here. Then I'm going to stamp the smaller flower in Coastal Cabana. Basically what I'm doing here is creating my own designer series paper. Oops, I got a little mark there, but that doesn't matter. This is just the example. And then that outline flower, I'm going to stamp in Mango Melody. This is my favorite yellow. Now you can choose to have all of your images like not touching and separate, or you can choose to overlap them a little bit if you want to create your own paper. And then what I did was used Pear Pizzazz and Soft Sea Foam, and I used my masks again and then just went through, I'll just do one, and added the little leaves. Whoops, there went my mask. Okay, I will set that aside for now. I won't, because now it's got ink on it. So basically what I would do is fill up the page with flowers and then add the leaves, and then you could add some splatters and some different things if you wanted to, and basically create your own custom designer series paper. And then this is the project that I came up with for that one. So that's exactly the process that I was using, those exact colors and stuff. And then I went over it, hopefully you can see that, I embossed the whole thing with the Merry Music. Oh, I always forget the name of that folder, but the one with the music notes on it, and that just added some kind of a striped element to it. To make the actual card, I used my favorite, actually I think honestly I think it is my favorite. My favorite, just rip and flip. Except I didn't flip it. I just ripped the two ends and added some paper underneath so that this printed paper that we just did was the star of the show. And then it's just a matter of adding some words and some nice embellishments. So hopefully you like that one. I think this is my favorite of all the ones I made with this set. But I've got another one to show you. So now I want to show you a project using just I'm just gathering my things here, just the outline. And I'm going to grab this, my mat, not because you need a mat for this, but just so you can see it. So what I've done is I've stamped just this outline flower and then embossed it with white. And then I'm going to grab my Stampin' Blends. If you haven't ever colored with your blends on Vellum, this is a really fun way to color in your images. So you've got the embossing on one side, and then what you do is you just flip it over. So this is the flat side. And you can use your blends. Let's see, I think I'm going to grab the light one. And you don't have to be fussy at all. You can almost just kind of scribble some color on there initially. I've just got my Daffodil Delight blends. And then I'll just go back with the darker one and add some detail. I'm not being very careful. You could be a little more careful than this. And then I've got my Coastal Cabana blends. And again, I would just take the light one. I'll just do a portion of it. And then you want to blend those two colors. Where they meet, you'd want to blend them together so you get kind of a third color in between. And then take your darker Coastal Cabana and just add some accents. And you might think it looks actually quite harsh and dark, but once you turn it over, let me grab a piece of white paper so you can see. Once you turn it over, it actually is quite soft. I mean, you could go back and blend that color in a little bit more. You would just grab your light color and blend it out a little bit more. But in reality, you can't really tell that I've just scribbled, and it just comes out with a soft look. And with this, with using vellum and coloring, it looks nice if you put it on top of white, because then you can really see the colors. You can see that if you put it on top of a color, you can't really see it. Okay, so let me show you this finished one that I've made with that. And see if I can hold that a little closer to the camera so you can see. I think it turned out really well. And even though I colored with Daffodil Delight and Calypso Coral, because it's muted the colors quite a bit, it actually looked best paired with Petal Pink, which is quite a pale orangey pinky color. So you just have to see what this color ends up looking like and then decide what colors you're gonna put with it. All right, so these are my samples using that beautiful Delicate Dahlias stamp set, which you can get free for another 7 days. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I really appreciate you being here and spending a few minutes with me tonight. Have a good rest of your evening. Good night.